Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole.
What's up, Butterfly?
Hey, Firefly, what's going on?
Well, we are going to go down a rabbit hole here. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think this is sort of like a maybe like a synopsis or kind of a sequel to several of our previous episodes.
It's like an anecdote.
Yeah.
It's like a specific example of how what we're talking about is real and pertains.
And how you can see it play out in real life.
You can see
You
it
know what I mean?
real life, and this is a very real hypothetical scenario.
Yeah. So, what happened to Jessica?
What happened to Jessica? That's what it is. So Jessica is Jessica's like a cute little young mom who's really happy.
She's full of love and
She's full
joy.
of love and joy and life, and she's even a little red pill.
Yeah. She's kind of asking questions about like some of the things that are going on in the world.
She's
Kind of,
aware, and she doesn't want to do things that are messed up. She doesn't want to work for Satan.
no.
She's kind of like, no, I love and I'm happy.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff happening, like the government. I don't know, they're doing some weird
The
things.
government's doing weird stuff, but you know
Yeah.
what? I'm really happy. My life is good and everything's fine. But then what happens?
Well, it could be any number of things. It
We had
could,
a hypothetical scenario.
yeah, it could be any number of things, but like, have you ever like called your credit card company?
Yeah.
It's not very much fun. It's kind of like going to the DMV.
You get micromanaged. You get micromanaged, and it's so mundane. And it also, what happens when you're dealing with a credit card company is sometimes you just kind of get morbidly depressed about life because it brings up like a lot of financial circumstances. So I think what we're saying is you
Maybe,
can get turned into Eeyore.
yeah, like maybe even somebody like Jessica, who was pretty normal and like she didn't really believe a lot of the stuff that was happening and, like she never wore a mask or anything like that because, she was like, this doesn't really make sense. But then one day, like, she just calls her credit card company because she has some questions about her statement and she starts getting micromanaged by
Yeah.
a mini megalomaniac psychopath micromanager,
From
which we
Bangladesh.
which we've talked about before. Yeah, from Bangladesh.
From Bangladesh that doesn't really speak good English, and then kind of tells her like in broken English, like, where I am very sorry, Jessica, but it appears here that you are fucked. And then the other thing too is when you're dealing with a credit card company, it's like there's somebody from Bangladesh is talking to you in broken English about your financial situation, which is kind of makes you Eeyore a little bit. And
Yeah.
then because you're just thinking about like the circumstances that bring that scenario about is kind of depressing. But then also they're kind of telling you, oh yes, and by the way, um, here is the reason that you are fucked. And so you kind of get Eeyored because now somebody from Bangladesh is telling you basically you're screwed.
Yeah. And so like Jessica gets off the phone call and she feels really bummed out. She's been totally Eeyored.
She gets Eeyored. So then I
She's
was thinking like maybe her pupils get like a little bit more dilated. And like she kind of like you ever watched the Incredible Hulk back in like the 80s? Remember Lou
Oh
Ferrigno?
yeah. When he
Remember
started to get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you really like David Banner was a mild-mannered guy, but if he got pushed and now he's like, I'm gonna have to kick your ass, then he turns into the Hulk. What happens when he first starts turning into the Hulk? Like his eyes get all like dilated.
Yeah.
So maybe that happened to Jessica. So the first thing that happens is like her eyes get all dilated and she starts kind of turning into the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't turn into a big buff green dude. She turns into a walker.
A little meek,
She
like a
turns into a
Karen.
walker. A
A
Karen.
Karen.
So
Yeah.
what happens with Jessica is so the first thing that happens is like her pupils get dilated. She starts kind of looking like the Hulk. Now Jessica's wearing a mask.
Oh no. Yeah.
And so now she's walking around with a mask on and she's kind of telling like everyone she knows that they should wear a mask too.
Right. It's like that triple M to the P, the mini megalomaniac psychopath trait.
Yes,
It's contagious.
it's contagious. So
Hmm.
now she wants to give other people it. And so now she's kind of micromanaging other people and wearing a mask. Plus she's really afraid. So she went and got a vaccine too.
Ooh.
Whereas before
Yeah.
she was kind of red pilled. She
Yeah.
wasn't wearing masks or getting vaccines, but now she's like suddenly, you know what? I'm really afraid. I better
I
go.
wasn't afraid before, but now like this situation sounds dire.
It sounds dire. And they just found she just watched the Dire Wolf Bone like special where they
She
found,
drank the
you know,
dire wolf
she started
bone
drinking.
broth.
She used to believe in God, but now she's like, no, what? Bone broth tastes pretty good. So now she's kind of doing that too. So she's afraid, and she's kind of like, she got traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
So she got kind of
She
MK
got
Ultra.
MK Ultra.
She did
Yeah.
because she got
Yep.
traumatized by the credit card company because the credit card company told her traumatizing data about her financial situation.
Hmm.
So then she got suggestive, and then so what happened is she got off the phone with the credit card company. Her pupils got dilated, and then there was a phone on her phone. A video got recommended, and it was Dr. Fauci,
Oh yeah.
and he came out and he said, "There's gonna be another respiratory virus, and it's probably gonna be pretty deadly. You should probably wear your mask."
And get some pokey pokes.
And so she was not susceptible before, but now suddenly Dr. Fauci is like a
Terror.
trigger. He's like a
Yeah.
pinch.
Totally.
And so she got activated and went and wore a mask after watching that video.
And so, since she's become a mini megalomaniac psychopath, she now desires that 5 minutes of power.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
So
now she changed jobs and now
she
she,
can micromanage.
you know what she does now is she's one of the Karens that works at the homeowners association. And she comes and she knocks on people's door and she goes, excuse me, butterfly, you guys can't park two cars in your garage. And I'm going to give you a $150 fine every day
Oh
until
gosh.
you move them. And she's going to be like that kind of person.
And she probably has like a side job doing HR.
She does HR. And she goes, yeah, yeah, no, that's good. We hired, we have, we have a nice diverse team here and we keep it diverse. And, like I fired a guy earlier because he's the white
He
male.
wasn't diverse enough.
He was a white male. So I fired him. So that's what she does now for a living. She does HR. She works in diversity and inclusion, and she also
In the homeowners
she's in the
association.
HOA, and she Karens on her off time. So she goes and she tells people, "You got to move. You've broken too many of our policies. You got to move." So now she's become a triple M to the P. She walks around with her mask on. She takes her shots. She's taken several shots since she had that conversation with the credit card company. She's gone.
She's on a downward
She
spiral.
went on a downward spiral like a crackhead that just like fell off the wagon. Now she's like totally, and then she just booked a cruise
Oh no.
so that her and her husband are going to go on a
They're gonna
cruise.
be bottomless pits.
And then they're gonna go. So the cruise, you have your breakfast buffet. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the breakfast buffet. So now she goes on a cruise, and now she's like 40 pounds overweight after the cruise.
I think you could gain 40 pounds on one of those cruises.
Easily.
Yeah.
Because you
On like a
go,
7-day cruise.
yeah, 7 days
Or a
of
10-day, you only have to gain like 4 pounds a day.
totally. And
Yeah.
you could do that. You eat like, okay, you have a breakfast buffet. Lunch buffet starts right when the breakfast buffet is just cleaned up.
They're just like hauling away
They
the
do.
breakfast.
They like break down the breakfast buffet
They're
and then
bringing out
begin
lunch
setting up lunch.
simultaneously.
So you don't really have to have a break in your eating. You can just have
You
like,
could just stay at the same table.
you just graze all day like a cow in a field. And then all the way past dinner into midnight snack, you're getting fondue and roast beef. So now Jessica is now kind of morbidly obese after the cruise. So she's now fat. And now she got really scared because she went on Facebook and Kim did a new video. Kim Kardashian did a new video, and she was having sex with a robot. And Kim was really skinny and looked
Except for
really
her butt.
good, except for her butt was really fat, which is supposed to be. So now Jessica's got a really big fat butt, which is good,
But everything
but
else is fat
everything
too.
else is too fat. So
So now she's going to take Ozempic.
she got an ad for Ozempic. So
Yeah.
now she went and took some Gila Monster venom in her stomach to make it paralyzed. And so she lost 10 pounds, but the Ozempic kind of deeper blue pilled her. And now she's going into deep body mod. So now she's doing bod mod. She's gone into bod mod mode. And so now she took Ozempic and lost a few pounds,
She lost like 10 out of the 40.
but then so she's still fat, but she went and got tattoos to make up for it. So now she's got a bunch of tattoos where she had never had tattoos before.
Right.
And she got some bod mod too. She got her nipple pierced
Oh
and
God.
her tongue. And she dresses real slutty now. It's weird.
So-
She used to dress kind of conservative,
I
but now
know.
she's like
now
like
she goes to soccer practice wearing like short shorts. And
like her G-strings hanging out.
yeah.
And then like she also like has her boobs hanging out. And people are like, but you're kind of fat. But she's like, but I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
So she's got that going on now.
It's like the whole Jessica scenario is a very slippery slope. Her
It's a
whole life
slippery
is a
slope.
slippery slope.
It's a slip because now she's kind of sleeping around.
Mhm.
She was married. She dumped her husband. Now she's sleeping around.
Next thing you know, she's got like 5 kids with like 8 different baby daddies.
She does. She's got like
I don't
Elon
know if it
syndrome.
quite adds up,
She
but
had sex with Elon. She had a kid with Elon. That was one of the things that she did. She went and had a kid with Elon.
she was the honeypot.
She was the honeypot. So now she's got a bunch of kids with a bunch of different dudes. Where she only had one kid with one dude and was gonna stay married, but now she's got a bunch. Plus, she's kind of a lesbian now. She kind of like is like dabbling in lesbianism. She's got some new like short-haired Mexican girl that she hangs out with all the time.
Yeah, and
And
they're really good friends.
they're really good friends, and they kind of hang all over each other,
Yeah.
even in public.
Yeah.
So Jessica's kind of gone on a slippery slope downward spiral. Now she's got tattoos. She's overweight. She hangs out with her lesbian Mexican girl, and she also she Karens for a living.
Yeah.
So she's MMP, and so um, now she's on Ozempic too, and now but her doctor said you need to take these blue pills because you're kind of depressed, you know?
She's kind of depressed about where her life has been going.
Like her lesbian girlfriend sometimes doesn't do a good job down there.
Yeah.
And so she gets kind of bummed about that. And then she does HOA, but then sometimes people kind of hate her.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of bummed about that.
Which makes her more of a Karen and more
Yeah.
micromanagey.
So she likes telling people they're screwed. And that's what like is the highlight of her day now.
Mhm.
It was like she's kind of reflecting a little bit. She's going, I don't really remember yesterday. And I have no concept of tomorrow. But what I do notice is the highlight of my day, I just told somebody that they're totally screwed. And
And that made me feel good.
it's like the best feeling I've had all day.
It's the epitome of micro management megalomaniac psychopathic behavior.
And so she's kind of Eeyored about that because
Yeah.
she's like, the only time I feel good is when I tell somebody screwed. So she starts doing some research online and she goes, you know what? I'm just gonna order my own coffin. I'm just gonna order my own coffin. So then ultimately
And they say, should we send a scarf in the meantime?
we can send a scarf for
Because
immediacy.
You can use that but from a doorknob and it'll do the same thing.
So yeah. So what happens is she hangs herself from a doorknob with a scarf, which was according to the side effects of the blue pill that she took from her therapist. And the coffin shows up a couple days later, and they just kind of scoop her into that. And that's the end of Jessica's story.
Yeah.
That's how she ends.
So this is sort of a parody, but actually it could happen. Like
It's kind of what is happening.
It's kind of what is happening with we've been just previous episodes we've talked about the walkers, the slippery slope, the Groundhog Day syndrome, all these
Where did
things.
Jessica move? She moved to a 15-minute city.
She moved to a 15-minute city. Yeah.
She
So
lived in a little coffin apartment at the end.
all these things we see happening, and they all contribute to the behavior of people that fall into the walker category, which is what seems to be happening everywhere.
So, what happened when you traveled across the country recently? You saw
I saw a
walkers
lot of walkers.
everywhere,
Mm.
everywhere. And walkers have different brands.
Oh yeah.
So there's homeless walkers,
Yeah.
but there's also rich walkers.
Yeah, there's a lot of rich
There's like
walkers.
there's a like you can actually homeless people have a tendency to be even a little bit more real than like the blue pilled rich people.
Yeah, totally.
Like if you go
Because
to a
they have to experience life.
yeah, and so they have a tendency to kind of like maybe be open to like, hey, you probably don't want to do that. That's you're contributing to a digital prison. They might be kind of open to that
Right.
because they're already kind of out of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you go to one that have like, remember I told you about these neighborhoods like Blue Pillville?
Mm-hmm.
The hedges are perfect,
Mm-hmm.
the grass is perfect, everybody's home is perfectly manicured. They've got perfect Teslas. Everybody's dressed perfectly, and everybody's just having barbecues and Tupperware parties.
Right.
They live in deep cobalt blue,
Blueville.
Blueville, and those people are walkers. They got lots of money, but they're walkers, and they're getting led down a very similar slippery slope as Jessica got led down, because Jessica got led down. What is it? It's self-destruction.
It is.
It's your demise. That's what being a walker is. It's your
They're
demise.
leading they're leading you to your demise.
So what happens first is you get Eeyore. I think that's how you get bit. So we talked about The Walking Dead, the walkers in The Walking Dead. They can bite you and turn you into a walker.
Hmm. They want people to be, sick and tired and exhausted and dumbed down because then you can fall into the walker category and then you're easier to control.
So then you're easily controlled. And what did the um, Georgia Guidestones say? Remember the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, they wanted the population to stay, what was it, under 500 million or something?
500 million.
Yeah,
So, in order to get there, 7 out of 8 people have to be unalived pretty quick.
right.
So, if you think about that, so when you become a walker, they're guiding you to your extermination because now they're controlling you, and what they want is you dead. So that's how it kind of works.
Hmm.
And once they start controlling you, they're going to lead you to your death. But kind of like Brave New World says, you remember Aldous Huxley, the guy who wrote Brave New World?
Right.
He was kind of like, what? It's a efficient model. And the reason it's a very efficient model is because you are being put on Soma the whole time. And you're being placated with, like, remember, because Jessica kind of starts sleeping around.
Hmm.
So you're being placated with sex. You kind of have sex with whoever, you know?
Hmm.
You're in immoral bottomless pit. And remember, we talked about Steve at the buffet. So
The
Steve's at
cruise ship buffet.
so we tell Steve, Steve, we just we just hit an iceberg.
He doesn't care.
And he goes, where's the roast beef?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how they lead you to your demise because now they're giving you roast beef and fondue and sex and blue pills. So you're kind of just like placated and numb and just kind of,
And you just don't really care.
well, you know
You're
why?
like, yeah.
Because if you're feeding your bottomless pit, you're kind of satiated. And so you're just like, whatever.
Hmm.
And I think that's what's kind of epiphany.
Well, I think maybe you're never really satiated, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
You
That's right.
you're constantly just wanting more. It's a bottomless pit.
You're indulging.
Hmm.
And
And
indulging is numb.
they know that you're never going to have enough to be satiated. So they just keep giving you like more and more of what they think, what you think you need, but it's never going to satisfy you because it's the wrong thing.
because you're a bottomless pit.
Right.
Remember, we talked about the La Brea tar pits and
Yeah,
how it's kind of interesting that the La Brea tar pits are right there under the Hollywood sign.
I know.
That's like meant to be.
It's very symbolic.
Because what Hollywood promotes from the time you're a little kid is become a bottomless pit.
Hmm.
Because if you're a bottomless pit, then you're just managing your appetites,
Yeah.
and that's how they can control you.
The whole Hollywood scene is a bottomless pit, and everything that they depict in movies and TV shows are all bottomless pits.
For
So,
instance, remember we were watching that show Sirens.
right,
It's bottomless pity. Why?
right.
Because remember she's got the big, glorious, beautiful home. Remember, I can't remember
It's
the
like a
actress's name.
mansion.
What's it?
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore. So Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon, they have the sprawling estate,
Hmm.
and all the people are working on it. The bottomless pit is they dangle that in front of your face. They're like, you can have the sprawling estate. You can become Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon, but you're not.
But you're gonna have to probably sell your soul.
You're gonna have to sell your soul, but that goes without saying.
Hmm.
But then notice that Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon, they're not happy either because Tiger Woods has a bigger submarine than them.
Hmm.
So they're constantly bottomless pitting. Bottomless pit means you're never satisfied. You're never at peace.
Right.
So once they get Jessica becoming a bottomless pit, she's now being led to her demise because she's constantly being led like a rat through the streets by a marionette, and that marionette is her appetites.
Hmm.
And also, indulging keeps you numb so that you don't stop and go, you know what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
And how did she get that way? How did she get off on that track? Was because she was Eeyore. She was,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what they want to do to people because they want to get you off the right track and get you down their track.
Because when you're Eeyore, you're not only depressed, but you are um despondent.
Right.
Despondent is where they want you.
Hmm.
What's despondent like? Despondent is like almost unresponsive.
Yeah.
You're a zombie. Despondent is a zombie.
Mhm.
That's what walkers are. They're
They're
despondent.
just, yeah, they're zombies. They're
So they
like,
don't care. You can tell them really, really bad news. And they're just gonna keep just
they're gonna get
"Ugh,
ask for another blue pill and then
I'm at fondue. I just
where's the roast beef?
where's the rosebud? Wait, 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 wait. The boat hit an iceberg. We're going down.
I heard there was chocolate mousse at the next table.
There's moose. Oh my God, they have baked Alaska. Well, wait, the boat's going down. We don't have much time, but we can't escape now. Baked Alaska. I think that's how it is.
Yeah.
I think that's how it is. I think that's how it is. And it's hard to wake people up from that. It really is. It's like you can slap them in the face and they're just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I think people get to a certain point of despondency where they don't care anymore. And there's a fatality, there's a fatalism about it. That's like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. And they go, like if they're having if like they're walking off a cliff, but they're like eating a Kentucky Fried chicken wing, and they're just like, and you're like, but wait, stop, stop, stop! You're gonna walk right off this cliff. It's 700 feet. You're gonna die, and they're just like, chicken wing, and they just go right off the cliff. That's kind of what's going on.
It is. So that's what happened to Jessica.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Jessica is Western civilization.
Yeah.
Jessica is Western civilization.
Right.
We're collectively committing social suicide, and we're doing it because we've become walkers. We're a walker civilization now.
We are. Followers.
We're all just, "Ugh." And the influencers are just telling you, "Go ahead." Like on social media, the influencer is just telling you what time the next buffet starts and telling you what's offered at the next buffet. So Steve is just getting done masticating his roast beef and fondue, and he takes his rascal back to his cabin.
Yeah.
But right when he wakes up, he has a notification because eating is important to him, so he has notifications on his phone. So he has got a notification that tells him all of the offerings at the breakfast buffet.
Mm,
That's what the influencers are doing. The
mm,
influencers on your phone are telling you what's in the next breakfast buffet.
right.
It's Iranian sleeper cells. That's what's being offered at the next buffet. Why is that? That's interesting because you have to be afraid. You
Exactly.
have to be afraid
To fall into that
to
stupor.
fall into that stupor. So once you become afraid, then you're suggestible. Now you kind of go down the path of becoming a bottomless pit, and now you're a bottomless pit. And the thing about a bottomless pit is it's really hard to manage because you wake up in the morning and you've got these huge appetites just going, "Hey, good morning." So your whole life
Your
becomes
tummy starts growling.
growling for a bunch of different fare. Because that's the thing that they kind of have people doing too is you notice you kind of consume, but it's not always food that you're consuming.
No,
You can
it's
consume other things.
Netflix, it's social media, it's blue pills, it's a lot of stuff.
You know what I think is a bottomless pit activity?
Hmm.
Luxury cars.
Oh,
You know
could
why?
be.
You know why?
Why?
Because it's like what other people think of me. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You could get a Honda that's pretty much the same as a Lexus. It's
With
pretty
the right package.
Yeah, well, just like, I mean, if you think about getting from point A to point B,
Mm-hmm.
a Honda's gonna do what a Lexus does.
But you might like that, that certain interior that the Lexus has. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's why people are getting Lexuses, though. I think what they do is if you have an L on your car, you have a certain status.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a blue pill. Keeping up with the Joneses is a bottomless pit.
That's a bottomless pit.
It's a bottomless pit.
So what is the white pill here? And how do we help the Jessicas out there who might be like ready to spiral out of control and fall off the cliff?
Yeah.
There could be some people right now that are headed in that direction.
The white pill is, I mean, dude, let's say that the cruise comes to a stop and Steve rascals off the boat. Steve might decide, you know what? I'm sick of this. I met a girl on the cruise that I really like and I want to spend my life with her. And I'm gonna start getting in shape.
Get off this rascal.
I'm gonna get off this rascal. I'm gonna start getting in shape. I'm gonna start watching what I eat, and I'm gonna stop being a bottomless pit because I love her and I want to be there for her.
And
And
I
she's like this new. So love can save somebody, or maybe you know what happens in the Matrix when he gets red pilled. He he goes, "Let me out of the car." And she goes, "You've been down that road so many times before. You know exactly where it goes. Why don't you try something different?" People can do that.
That's a really good point. So if what's working now, I mean what you're doing now isn't working, try something different. And um I think the white pill is what we're always kind of talking about, which is to not be a follower, because that is the trait that leads you to your demise. It leads you to Groundhog Day syndrome, the slippery slope, and all of the other things that we talked about. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, you can't be a follower. You can't just mindlessly follow because I think the white pill is people can and I think will come to agree with us that there's a cult that's hijacked this world and they're controlling you and leading you to your demise. Once you come to that conclusion, that's kind of hard to put the toothpaste back in that tube.
Right. So when you call your credit card company and Habib tells you the bad news that you didn't want to hear, you don't need to get Eeyore. You can just realize that you're in control and you don't have to become a follower.
Yeah, that's true. It can be really difficult to not get Eeyore because we've talked about how the micromanagement is so stifling and so oppressive.
I know.
So sometimes you kind of get Eeyore, you're just like, I
You
can't deal with
you
all
have
of the
to
micromanagement.
you have to like sometimes consciously make an effort when they try to Eeyore you to get retiggered.
Retiggered. That's another thing that we've talked about.
Yeah,
So you get
you
retiggered
get retiggered.
by getting anti-Eeyore.
You get yourself out of that mindset and tell yourself that you will not be Eeyored by what they're trying to do, what they're trying, how they're trying to micromanage you,
Well, like
and you have the
that's a
power.
white pill. You and I kind of are a white pill because um you started to get Eeyored and I tiggered you, and I started to get Eeyored and you tiggered me.
Yeah,
And that's happened several times since we've been doing our podcast.
right.
And so
I think,
like-minded people can help.
yeah, I think epiphany.
Epiphany, epiphany,
Yeah,
epiphany.
it's important just to talk about these things with, like you said, like-minded people, or like maybe you don't have anybody in your close proximity like that thinks that way, but hopefully listening to our show will
Yeah.
will help. I think just talking about it and listening to know that there's other people that think along these lines, I think that really helps. It's kind of contagious, and it does help you to not be Eeyored. It re-tiggers you.
You know what triggers you is when you realize that um you have somebody who loves you and is there for you.
Right.
And it's like, whatever you need, I'm here for you.
They're not gonna,
That triggers you.
yeah, and maybe we can be that
Totally.
for our listeners.
Totally.
So,
Love, I think love is the white pill that saves you from becoming a walker. And joy, what I've talked about with you a lot is you kind of have to be defiant and be Cool Hand Luke. And Cool
right.
Hand Luke, um, Paul Newman is the prisoner, and the warden on the chain gang wants to break him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole movie. The cult wants to break you
Yeah,
because if they break you, you're going to become a walker.
right.
And that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
So
being a walker, then they can start calling
we
us.
don't have to let them, you don't have to let them break you. And you
How do you not let them break you? You be defiant about having joy
love and hope,
and love and hope
like that
no matter
episode,
what.
like
Like that
that
one episode
episode
that
that
we
we
had, love,
watched.
joy, and hope.
Yeah,
That's the white pill.
right.
Because what we just talked about with Jessica, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
We're making jokes about it, but it's real.
It can really happen. Maybe not in that quick fashion or
No.
like in that extreme order, but it's possible. And
So if
yeah.
that can happen, then you have to be intentional. And what happens with Jessica is the first thing that happens, how the bite works from the walkers is you get Eeyored.
Hmm.
So you got to not let yourself get Eeyored. If you find yourself getting Eeyored, you have to be
Re
intentional about finding
Retiggering yourself.
retigger yourself. Find out what you're joyous about, what you're loving about, and don't ever get Eeyored and go talk to a therapist.
Uh,
That's how you get into the
Remember,
system.
they don't have the power over you.
When you get
So
Eeyore, here's I think the white pill. When you get Eeyore, don't look to any type of media or the healthcare system.
right.
That's not going to help you. When you get Eeyore, you have to be intentional about, like we were talking about, you change your perspective. You say, I'm going to be happy about what I do have, and I'm not going to be tripping out about what I don't have. That's something that you can do.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, the white pill.
And not give them the power to untigger you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once you get Eeyore, now it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Being Eeyore is scary because all of a sudden there's like this flood of gray clouds and gloom that just comes into your consciousness, and you're just like,
But
ugh.
that's what they want to do. So you can't give them the power to do that. So,
But you have that's the white pill. You, when that gray cloud starts coming in, you have to be like, no, I'm not gonna allow myself to become hopeless and despaired and depressed
mhm,
because that is when they have you.
right. Well, I think that was really a fun episode.
It was good.
And
You know what? It was good because it kind of was an anecdote that pertained to the last 3 episodes that we did
or more.
or more.
And also we brought up something else, which I want to just mention. We were talking about that show, Sirens, and I thought maybe we should just mention that
I guess
we're starting a new show that some of our listeners may be interested in. It's sort of a uh
it's a Netflix show book club.
yeah, it's like a book club, but it's for watching shows, and it's called Unread Your Show.
Unread your show.
It's not out yet, but it is coming soon. So if you like book club ideas, but don't have time to read a book, but you like watching shows, we're going to be talking about some of your favorite shows and sort of like uh, dissecting them and getting into.
Hopefully, they're not your favorite shows.
Well, whatever.
When we're talking on
Yes.
Netflix, we're kind of the reason that we're unpacking them is because we were talking about the social
We're
engineering.
getting into the nitty gritty of the
You got
social
it.
engineering.
Like it's
Yeah.
gnarly. So we'll get that going on pretty soon because Sirens was the first show that we did.
Yeah. So we're going to have that out pretty soon.
And what we do is we kind of like just break down what's going on in the show, what people mean, what's really being conveyed. And I think, well, my idea for part of the show, and you might agree with this, is kind of like looking at the weapon that it is.
Right.
Because, you kind of got to know your enemy.
Hmm.
Like, so we're kind of under like a siege right now. So we're like under attack. So you kind of got to know like the weapons that you're being attacked by so
Yeah.
that you can defend against them. Netflix is a weapon that they're attacking us with.
Totally. So we're gonna start having like we'd like you to join our little book club for shows, and that'll be coming soon.
I think that was a great plug.
I do too.
That's awesome. It was
Yeah,
organic.
it was.
All right. Well, it's great seeing you
You
again.
too.
All right. So cool. So we'll talk to everybody soon.
Okay, bye.